Dive into an 8-minute summary of the 1 hour The Bulwark podcast with Michael Strain, hosted by Charen on February 18, 2025. Discover how trade wars, myths about the middle class, and policy missteps are shaping our economy. Stay tuned for insights that could change your view on America's economic future. Here are the key takeaways from the podcast. Takeaway 1. Trade war consequences. The trade policies enacted during Trump's first term, particularly the trade war, had profound negative effects. Consumer prices rose because of tariffs on imported goods, making everyday items more expensive. This wasn't just about big businesses. It hit regular folks in their wallets. Manufacturing jobs didn't increase as promised. Instead, they decreased because higher costs made U.S. products less competitive globally. American farmers, for instance, lost significant markets, especially in places like Brazil, where they used to export their goods. To counter this, the government had to step in with massive agricultural subsidies, essentially bailing out farmers with taxpayer money. This was a lose-lose situation where no one really won. If you've noticed your grocery bill or the price of manufactured goods going up, share your experience in the comments below. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 2. Middle class debate. Michael Strain challenges the common narrative that the American middle class has been economically stagnant. He points out that, contrary to populist rhetoric, real wages for average workers have risen over the last few decades, even after accounting for inflation. Life quality has improved in many ways. Medical care has gotten better, we live longer, and even with the drawbacks like the deaths of despair, overall health outcomes have advanced. There's also been a boom in technology and education, with more people having access to computers and better educational resources. Strain notes that while there's been dissatisfaction, especially post-2008, the overall trend shows improvement. For example, parents now spend more time with their children than in previous decades, despite working more. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 3, economic misdiagnosis. The perception that the middle class is being left behind has fueled populist movements on both ends of the political spectrum. However, Strain argues that the real problems might not be what they're commonly attributed to. For instance, the fallout from the 2008 financial crisis, not long-term trade policies, was a significant economic trauma. Misdiagnosing these issues leads to policies like aggressive tariffs or immigration restrictions, which might not address the root causes. For example, thinking that trade deals are the main problem could lead to trade wars, which, as we've seen, can backfire. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 4, manufacturing reality. The narrative of American carnage, with factories closing down like tombstones, is more myth than reality. The U.S. remains a powerhouse in manufacturing, especially in high-tech, complex products like medical equipment. The decline in manufacturing jobs has been decades in the making, driven by automation and productivity gains, not just trade. Pittsburgh, for instance, once a steel town, has transformed into a hub for healthcare and education, showing that many manufacturing communities have adapted well to new economic realities. However, there are exceptions, places hit hard by specific factory closures. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 5, labor market dynamics. The labor market in the U.S. is incredibly dynamic, with millions of job changes monthly. When we talk about manufacturing job losses due to trade, they pale in comparison to the regular churn of the job market. Strain emphasizes the need for policies that help workers transition, especially those in their 50s who might find it hard to retrain for new careers. For example, federal job training programs have had mixed results but are improving. There's also the issue of geographic mobility. People are less likely to move for new job opportunities now, possibly because of a more comfortable lifestyle or attachment to local benefits. We're halfway through the video. Thank you for sticking with us this far. If you're enjoying it, please give us a thumbs up and share it in your WhatsApp groups. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to comment below. To see more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Now let's continue with the video. Takeaway 6, institutional trust. The strength of institutions like the rule of law is vital for economic stability. Strain amusingly points out how even something as mundane as renting a car on a credit card relies on this trust. However, he expresses concern over potential threats to these institutions, particularly in a second Trump term, where there could be more challenges to court rulings or policy certainty. This uncertainty can freeze business investments and disrupt economic planning. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 7, automation versus trade. Automation has been a bigger driver of manufacturing job loss than trade. Strain explains that productivity improvements mean fewer workers are needed to produce goods. This trend started long before significant trade liberalization with China. For instance, agricultural jobs dwindled as farming became more efficient, not just because of international competition. The narrative around trade often overshadows this reality. Have you seen automation change the job landscape in your area or industry? Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 8, public policy and worker support. Public policy needs to evolve to support workers better, focusing on retraining and new job opportunities rather than just debating the cause of job loss. Strain discusses how job training programs have become more effective over time, but there's room for improvement. Policies should be crafted to help workers navigate economic shifts, whether due to technology, trade, or other factors. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 9, cultural shift in mobility. The willingness of Americans to move for jobs has decreased, reflecting a cultural shift towards stability over risk. Strain suggests this might be because we're wealthier now, allowing us to choose a less mobile, more settled life. However, this can hinder economic adaptation when industries shift. For example, moving to another state for a job was common in the 80s and 90s, but is less so now. Now let's move to the last takeaway. Takeaway 10, economic optimism versus reality. Despite potential economic disruptions from policy changes, there's a paradoxical optimism among business leaders regarding Trump's second term. This might be due to anticipated corrections in areas like energy policy. However, Strain warns that this optimism might not account for the risks to institutional stability and the long-term economic health of the nation. The short-term benefits might come with long-term costs if policy uncertainty leads to less investment or if the rule of law is weakened. Here is a brief introduction about Michael Strain. Michael Strain works at American Enterprise Institute, or AEI. He analyzes the mistakes left and right make about middle-class stagnation, quality of life, and other matters, plus what is risked when Musk attack foundational institutions. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this summary of the Bulwark podcast with Michael Strain informative. If you're interested in learning more about these topics, I encourage you to watch the full podcast on YouTube by clicking on the link in the description below. If you enjoyed watching this video, please leave a like below and share this video in your WhatsApp groups. You can also discuss about this video by commenting below. To get more such videos in your timeline, press the subscribe button below.